Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. So there are reports that are trending right now that NIS gave William Ruto an advice that for him to survive, he can give the opposition anything, he can trade anything, but not the majority position. This is a statement that was revealed by a member of parliament allied to William Samoei Ruto. I want us to dive into this story extensively and try to compare what the NIS told William Ruto and the situation that Mwai Kibaki faced in 2007. It will be easy to impeach William Ruto if the majority position goes to the opposition. That is why William Ruto is clinging to that position of holding the majority faction in his side. So I want us to explore this story because many people have talked about it, but I want us to take a different approach. We will go straight into the situation that Kibaki faced after the disputed presidential election. But first of all, kindly take this opportunity, go below there and like this video. That is the only way you appreciate the work of our channel. Also, subscribe to this channel if you are not subscribed before. And to existing subscribers, thank you so much for your support. You will understand that the courts have twice reminded Wetangula that the majority position should be given the opposition. But twice, Wetangula has refused to abide by that ruling. We all know that Wetangula rose to that position because of the support of the Kenya Kwanza. And after doing his own maths to award the Kenya Kwanza the majority as the majority party. Now, word has it that the NIS is the one that warned William Ruto against allowing that majority to go to the opposition. So this means that even after the courts termed the Wetangula's maths as not adding up, again Wetangula refused to abide by the position. The second time, the court rejected Wetangula's appeal and said the majority is as per what they termed or how they said it. Again, Wetangula has not reacted to that. We all remember in 2007, after the disputed presidential election that Samuel Kivuitu oversaw, Kibaki was pronounced the president, but if you went to the parliament, ODM were the majority. So because of that reason, ODM carried the day and had their own speaker. At that particular time, there was still a lot of tension. You remember a move that forced Mwai Kibaki to nominate or rather appoint Kalonzo Musyoka so that Kalonzo Musyoka would help him. Back then, the nation was against Mwai Kibaki, but Kalonzo was appointed and Kalonzo quickly agreed and became the vice president. The move was to try to help Mwai Kibaki have some strength in parliament. We all remember during that Kofi Annan talks that brought about the coalition government, one of the people who were opposed to this coalition government was Martha Karua and Moses Wetangula, because Moses Wetangula and Martha Karua were part of the team that represented Mwai Kibaki during that talks that were chaired by Kofi Annan. And you remember, during that time, for those of you who followed that story, Martha Karua and Moses Wetangula were termed to be one of the headliners there. Back then, the Martha Karua that we saw back then is different from now. So if you go back to that story, you realize that the kind of person we had back then was not democratic at all. But let's forget about that. But I wanted to bring that example to this scenario because the NIS has warned William Ruto against ceding that position of majority to the opposition. It will create an easy way for his impeachment. That is why if we go back to this story again, we are told that the intelligence team told the president that leaving parliament to the opposition would lead to a crisis. He was advised to trade anything for the majority leader's seat and ensure Wetangula remained the speaker. Ensure Wetangula remains the speaker at all costs. You see, that explains why Wetangula's decisions have always been aligned with the government agenda. He has never made a decision or a ruling there that is aligned with the opposition. That is why you find that there's a time Millie Odhiambo had to tell him off, against his ways of conducting the parliament. That is why you find that today, the one who is termed as one of the best speakers is still Marende. So Wetangula has been representing Ruto in parliament. But if you look at the constitution, that is not the way it's supposed to be. It is supposed to be totally different. In fact, the way Marende handled the parliament in 2007 to 2013 was the best way. I remember a situation where there was, the business committee was to be formed, and there was someone to be a chair, and they were supposed to nominate someone to, that is Kibaki and Raila, were supposed to have a behind-the-scene talks and come up with someone who was to be the chair there, I think. But because Kibaki nominated someone without Raila's involvement, Marende decided to be the one who chairs that committee, simply because the appointment did not conform with the national accord, the requirement of the national accord that required that any decision that Kibaki made had to be in consultation with his partner, who was Raila Amolo Odinga.
Mimi Raila Amolo Odinga naapa kwamba.
So that is why to date he is the best speaker, because he handled the situation maturely and there was no chaos in parliament that much and the country was peaceful. But now, most of the problems we are faced with in policies which are being made, like the issue of housing levy, the issue of the national ID which was passed, it's because of the speaker. Because the speaker represents the government. Instead of the speaker being totally independent, because our constitution gives us 3 arms of government, and we know about that: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. The parliament, which is part of the legislature, is supposed to be totally independent. So that's why the NIS gave William Ruto the right advice to protect him. The advice was meant to protect him. Because if at all this majority goes to the opposition, let's say, for example, he ended opposition, sahi, what do you think is going to happen? Ati speaker Wetangula ametolewa, tuko na speaker mwingine kama lase mwingine ama amechukuliwa tu pale amewekwa. Alafu majority ametolewa, amepewa mwingine. What do you think is going to happen? Ruto will be forced, to abide by the parliament decisions. In fact, he will not be able to control the parliament, like it has been said by these politicians that he has the parliament under siege. People say, talk about that. I don't have evidence, but that is what has been talked about by so many people, that he is controlling the parliament. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to go below in the comment section and tell us what do you think about this NIS report. Do you support it? Well, that is the work of the NIS to advise the president, to advise the government on issues such as this. So personally, I think the NIS did its job of advising the president the correct way. But if that advice would not have come forth, maybe Ruto would have ceded ground and gave opposition, his opposition again as a majority, position speaker, nini. Remember, he's told, you can trade anything for the majority leader's seat and ensure, Speaker ni Wetangula. I'm wondering, why didn't they just say ensure Speaker maybe ni Sudi? Speaker ni maybe nani? Sholei. Kwani hao hawatafanya vile rais anataka, ama what was the idea? Okay, just go below in the comment section and tell us what you think about this. So perhaps if you're watching this video and you've not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Until we catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.